Hi friends, I'm Meliora. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a request from you guys. You asked me from one of the few last videos that I promised to do a review and kind of like my subjective ranking of my lavender perfumes. A lot of fougères, a lot of men's fragrances, and a fair share of kind of marketed toward women fragrances do have lavender as a note, as an accord of different aromatic molecules, but it's not actually as common for people to love fragrances that are basically have lavender at its heart, and sometimes at the top notes, the middle notes, and the dry down, kind of the base notes. I happen to really like lavender as a center for a perfume, but I must say it's one of those cases when I do love the note, but when I actually looked at all of my over 200 bottle collection, I only found 6. To me, it presented a little bit of a controversy and some kind of conflict. How can I love a note if I have a very limited selection of fragrances with that note? I blame everything on extremely lucky blind buys that kind of closed that question for me. So some of these fragrances that I'm going to show you are just so perfect for my personal taste that I almost find no reason to search for more when it comes to a scent that will be almost all or very hard of it will be about lavender. We're gonna start with the heaviest, spiciest, the most gourmand versions of lavender that I have, because I started with that in the Perfume Fails where I featured Lavender by Oscar de la Renta. By the way, still for sale for cheap. If you're curious, I'll leave you a link below. So gourmand lavenders are actually on the rise. I'm not sure if they're on the rise. I think they already kind of reached their peak. Mon Guerlain by Guerlain is probably one of the most famous mainstream examples. So lavender lattes became kind of like in vogue, I think about 4 years ago. And somehow oddly, lavender made it as a kind of trendy note into the world of even mainstream perfumes as well. Still as a fairly kind of targeted niche kind of note. Not all people are crazy. I actually don't know people who are crazy about lavender. People usually like or dislike it. It's not one of those notes that people die for or hate, like tuberose, for example. But nevertheless, lavender once in a blue moon becomes popular, which I find that fabulous. What I find not so fabulous is that it becomes popular through combination of it with ethyl maltol, which is like a liquid sugar molecule, and that's what Mon Guerlain is for me. That's what Lavender by Oscar de la Renta is for me. It's very sugary. It's kind of the gourmand that is on the contemporary kind of synthetic liquid caramel side. It's very syrupy and cloying to my nose. So all of the contemporary kind of Victoria's Secret style, Britney Spears perfume style, super sweet caramel, cotton candy type of perfumes, if they have lavender, even though that's pretty popular right now, that's not for me. So the kind of gourmand lavender that I do enjoy would be 2 perfumes that I have in my collection. First one I have in a travel size, which is like 30 ml. Oh, I can't really pull it out. The name of it would be Farrow Noir. If I don't forget, I'll leave you the links to the perfumes below. If I forget, please remind me in the comments. I didn't think of it as a lavender-centric perfume until I read the Pyramid on Fragrantica. Undoubtedly very sweet, semi-spicy. I wouldn't even say semi, it's a spicy perfume. This type of gourmand is the first one that I do love with one spray. If I apply more than 2 of Farrow Noir by Serge Tanz, it just becomes smothering. It's very potent. It lasts forever. It can be overpowering. And what I realized really saved it for me, why it became an exception to the rule in me collecting Serge Tanz perfumes, is that this gourmand has lavender and black pepper and all kinds of spices. And I think this is one of the rare examples of gourmand lavender that is spicy, undoubtedly sweet, very powerful, that I do enjoy, but in very limited quantities. So for me, this is at best once a month kind of wear. The second one is fairly new to my collection, and I'm still trying to place it in my heart to make kind of like to make a decision, do I like it or do I just appreciate the blend? And this is House of Matriarch Madrona, one of the kind of best sellers by this extremely expensive indie brand. I got lucky that one of the fellow perfume collectors was selling like a third of her collection on Mercari, and she made me a deal, but even that deal was not cheap, let's just say that. So Madrona, in comparison, again, I can only compare things with what I've smelled before and what I have. Both of these are gourmands, but Serge Lutens, let's do a comparison. Serge Lutens, it has that typical, very rounded, jammy, kind of like almost syrupy, but very kind of elevated in the way it's blended, syrupy note with somewhat refreshing spiciness of both lavender and kind of like black pepper. When it comes to Madrona, also heavy gourmand perfume, but here the kind of gourmandise, the appeal of it comes in, I would say, as it's not as refreshing because the black pepper there to me is not as prominent, but it definitely has a lot of spices. What really makes it to me a little bit more elegant than the Farrow Noir is the kind of the nut notes. Like there are a lot of different kind of nuts, sweet, almost a little bit roasted hazelnuts in here. Is it hazelnuts though? It's something nutty about it. Not in a way that it's crazy, but in a way that, you know, nuts. I decided to cheat and actually look up the pyramid of Madrona. So not a single mention of any nuts there, but that's how I perceive it. It's kind of something like roasted candied nuts with lavender. That's what my nose perceives here. But what actually the Fragrantica says, the brand's description, is that a fragrance born in the Northwest, dream-inducing lavender feels mingle with towering cedar trees. Well, maybe it's like, yeah, there's something piney and woody about it too, but I swear to God, I do feel some kind of like small roasted nuts swaying gently in the misted Pacific breeze. So the perfume is supposed to be balanced with the kind of like salty ocean water accord, or like water ocean breeze accord. You know, I don't really feel it there. But again, you know, the magical powers of marketing at play. I mean, you tell me, I immediately start feeling something. You know, I do find that Madrona does start a little bit lighter, but to be honest, before I read the description and the kind of the marketing story of Madrona provided by the brand, I wouldn't really have guessed that there was like ocean breeze accord at the beginning. But I must say that the opening of Madrona, in comparison, is a little bit more elegant and lighter than Farrow Noir by Serge. So for that, I do like it more. Again, Serge Lutens and their gourmands are kind of hard for me. It's a very special occasion type of thing that I would wear. So for me, Madrona has a little bit more elegance because it's not so much in your face sweet. But I don't know why, but I do feel roasted nuts in here. I swear to you. It's supposed to be woody in lavender, but I swear I feel roasted, a little almost candied nuts. Ah, so good and so rare. So I'm very happy that I have it in my collection. The next one by many people is considered to be sort of iconic, almost like a paragon of a lavender perfume. We're talking about Gris Clair by Serge Lutens. I'm a bit Americanizing the names because I can't really fake a good French accent, so I think my French accent is worse than if I just, you know, try to say it with American one. So Gris Clair by Sergio Tanz is almost a solid floor of lavender. What it really does very well, it takes the soothing part of lavender, the caressing, the soothing part, and it really wraps it very nicely in very finely milled spices. It's a little bit woody notes, and I think the heart that makes this lavender one of the most kind of caressing and like kissing worthy lavenders is that they combine the very delicate kind of echo of tonka beans and amber. And these two are my favorite notes, or accords to be more precise, that add sweetness without making the fragrance overwhelmingly sugarish or cloying. So this lavender, I already have it on my fingers, is perfectly kind of like balanced between being semi-sweet, very soft, very warm, and yet it doesn't become flat either. The nose immediately starts kind of like detecting, oh, a little bit of spice here, woody notes here, maybe a little bit of that here. It's just, but it's very kind of like in the middle. There's not much of a development of it, to be honest. To me, it opens up, the kind of like the opening, the middle part, and the dry down are almost the same. So it's almost like a mono accord. It just smells what it smells, this kind of softly spicy, semi-sweet lavender that is super, super elegant. But that said, this is for those who love lavender, because this is a solely floor in that sense. There's not much there but the lavender. The lavender will be with you from the beginning to the end. And if you like lavender but you don't really want to smell like it through the whole day, that might not be for you. I'll give you some options though. So I love it. I do wear it every time when I need to focus, when I need to kind of put my mind into a semi-relaxed state that is not super stressed, so I can still be creative, but at the same time focused enough that I can spend a good chunk of 2 hours, you know, writing or solving some kind of intellectual problem. When it comes to something that is way more wearable, if you like but don't love lavender, to me is Burberry Brit Rhythm. It was completely random purchase. I think I got a set of Burberry perfumes, like a minis, and I love this one the most. This is not even like its own perfume, right? It's a flanker. There is a Burberry Brit Rhythm Eau de Parfum, Eau de Toilette. There is Burberry Brit Floral, that, these, etc. But I almost wish that this perfume had its own name and kind of its own standing in the Burberry line. I love it so much. What is really super appropriate fit for work here is that this is also semi-sweet without being cloying or gourmand. The lavender here only plays a supportive role. So when I learned that it had lavender in it in the heart, that made a lot of sense to me, because like, that's what I find so kind of like office appropriate, because I kept trying to figure out what kind of spice or softness was there that at the same time seemed very very kind of like office appropriate. And I thought lavender, because lavender I associate with something intellectual, like definitely not sensual or, you know, the night of passion. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, no judgment if you do. But like when I learned that the lavender was in the heart of it, first of all, I didn't expect that. So I wouldn't really call it a lavender dominated perfume, but I think that's what makes it so elegant. I call this perfume first day at your dream job, because this is when you feel so excited and full of energy to do your best. At the same time, you're nervous beyond belief and you need some kind of like calming agent in your life, that you're not like stepping on the wrong foot on your first day at the job that you're like dying to get. Like all the suffering, all the problems are still like way ahead. At this point, you're just excited to be there. And this is the kind of perfume that I would wear the first day at work, because it's very appropriate, it's charming, but it's not too girly, it's not immature or juvenile, it's not too serious or spicy or grabbing anybody's attention either. So it's not gonna jump on anyone. It's both soothing and kind of making you feel a little bit put together. This what I call a lavender that is truly unisex. This is Living by Lalig. So the packaging and the targeting is for women. However, a lot of women complain, quote unquote, that it's too masculine. I don't really find anything particularly harsh about this perfume. The only thing that I can say that it's originally I considered to be a woody shipper, but the more I kind of delved into it, and when I learned that it had lavender in it, I was surprised, but it made so much sense again. So comparatively, Burberry Brit Rhythm would be a little bit sweeter and a little bit more almost like romantic in the florals and the kind of a tonka bean sweetness that's present in it, while Living by Lalig reminds me of kind of like a flute sound. It's very quickly moving, it's very high up there on a higher frequency, it seems very light, refreshing, a little bit grabbing your attention because it's so, I don't want to say zesty, but it's fairly refreshing. But again, there's something in it that separates it by a mile from all other refreshing florals. And I kept wondering what made this perfume too masculine, while there's nothing particularly Old Spice about it. It's not really a fougere, because I know a lot of people, when they think about woody, aromatic, and lavender-centric perfumes, they think, okay, and if it's also masculine in the eyes of many women, it must be a fougere. It must be kind of like aftershave type of thing. But I don't really feel anything aftershavey about it. So here's a puzzle for you. Try it and you let me know what you think of it. I do find that the description and the notes should place it in the floral fougere, yet to me, fougeres don't really smell like that, and like aftershaves don't smell like that, and I do find it perfectly suitable for everyday use, for me, for women, for men, for anyone. So I don't find anything about it that moves it across the aisle too far. It's not overly aggressive, but surely it's not sweet. This is a non-sweet lavender perfume, and again, lavender here only plays a supportive role. To me, it kind of soothes the high flight of that flute sound, if I dare compare, you know, a scent with a sound. It just leaves on a really high frequency plane, and yet at the same time the lavender kind of grounds it, soothes it, rounds the edges, and I swear to God, I feel some kind of like soft woodiness in it as well. I personally love Living by Lalig, again, for work and kind of very day appropriate perfume. Another interesting point that Living by Lalig, according to many people's reviews, may seem kind of simple, set and simple at the beginning, but people kind of catch wafts of trail, you know, like of kind of like comebacks of this perfume as the day goes by. And I have to confirm, I had the same experience a couple of times. I don't know what it depends on. Sometimes I feel it just evaporates and disappears, and sometimes I don't feel it on myself, but then a few hours go by and like I just catch a whiff of something really elegant, light and elegant, some kind of whiff, and I realize, oh, that's Living by Lalig, that's it. Even though it's not a beast mode, it does leave a trail after it, and I find that to be one of the few exceptions when having a perfume trail after you is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing because how light and elegant the blend is here. And the number one, the freshest, the most ideal, almost cold burning your lungs lavender that I know of on the market is Lavandula by Pennhalligans. I got this one from Pennhalligans boutique in Edinburgh, which is again very made the trip very memorable for me, and I loved Scotland. One day I'll go back. Let's just hope. I'm just gonna look at this bottle until the dream comes true. So what's so special about it? Even though all other lavenders that I showed you, they can be more refreshing, like Living by Lalig, they can be very well balanced and romantic, like Burberry Brit Rhythm, or very much a iconoclastic perfume lavender, which is Gris Clair by Sergio Tanz, or sweeter and darker, like a lot of Gourmand lavenders. This one, to me, is the most believable high altitude lavender that exists. This is so dry, so full of air. It's like breathing cold mountain air in the blazing morning sun, which is both soothing and almost burning your lungs. It is such an unbelievable feeling. This is what I remember Alps to be. Again, one day, right? So to me, this is not only kind of, it takes me places, it really delivers me to a, not just to the memories of being in Alps or breathing in that kind of high altitude, very dry, almost minty type of lavender. It takes me more, it takes me to the dream of those places. You know, like sometimes anticipation, the dreaming of magic of the place is way more than actually being in that place. So this is the dream of Alps to me. The Alps like in May or like in the beginning of June. This is so beautiful, so dry, so aromatic, almost freezing. Like it's freezing, at the same time it's soothing. This lavender I can wear all day long depending on my mood. It's perfect for refreshing yourself in the morning and putting yourself into this kind of, it's almost like meditation in a bottle, I dare say. It's also perfect for winding down after a long and hard day and just kind of like finding a quiet place to let go of all the worries and all of the problems. This is the kind of lavender that stands at the #1 place for me, with a huge margin of all other, like far away from all the #2s and #3s. Even though I love my lavender perfumes and I find them to be adorable and very appropriate and suited for specific occasions, I can't really call any of them to be to deliver a dream-like experience. And this is the dream of morning in the mountains. It's all of those, you know, like the blueness and the golden blueness of air when the sun comes up from the mountain. It's everything. It's truly a dreamy perfume. To me, it just closes every single facet of me liking and loving the lavender accord and dreaming of that particular experience of being in high altitude, just taking a walk in the spring in Alps. Beautiful, just beautiful. So here is my 6 lavender perfumes that are very lavender centric, or at least I love them specifically for the lavender note in them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think of this note. Do you use any kind of aromatic oils? Do you only consider it to be kind of like a house smell? Do you like lavender or do you not? Would you ever wear a lavender centric perfume on you? If you do, in what circumstances and what kind of emotions does it really inspire in you? Yeah, I would love to hear from you, and thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Share this video with your friends if they also love perfumes as much as me and you do, and I'll see you in the next one.